A lot of people have difficult to understand what is a framework. Is a framework the same as a methodology? Is a framework different from a specific implementation? What is that after all? Well, I published a video last week in Portuguese explaining what is a framework and giving some examples that a lot of people who saw it told me that it was very useful for them to understand this important concept, this very actually used word, and they said, oh, that's great. And I thought I should do that in English too. I believe that at the end of this video, this concept is going to be clearer to you so you can understand, is Scrum a framework or not? You can get to that by yourself understanding this concept. Well, a framework is an incomplete implementation of something, a structure that has a missing piece, and that missing piece is my specific part. When I use a framework to build something, I can reuse a full implementation but with a missing part, my special missing part, my difference. Well, let's come back to the meaning of the word framework. Frame means an open case or structure made for admitting, enclosing, or supporting something. Like in this case, a piece of art, like the Mona Lisa or something else. Doesn't matter. The frame was not made for a specific piece of art, but for any piece of art you can insert on that. The second word in framework is work. And let's understand work here in three different perspectives. We are talking about framework in software applications, in business, and at the end of it, in methodology, which is the subject of this video. In software application development, there are two different approaches to reuse code. In the traditional development approach, you build your application, in this case my application, with is a source code that automates a set of steps or a set of tasks. During those tasks, I see the possibility or the opportunity to reuse other codes I have made in the past or that some other people have made, and I call those codes as libraries. So I can reuse code already made, tested, and valuable in my application. When you're developing software applications based on frameworks, this framework is a source code reusable, something that you can use to create a lot of applications. This source code has a set of tasks automated by the framework. It has in itself a lot of libraries that the framework calls to automate those tasks, and some of those tasks are not automated by the framework but by my application. So the framework calls my application when it needs the special thing that my application does, my differential in the way of the framework to work, of the workflow. Some people say that developing applications based on frameworks uses the Hollywood principle. Don't call us, we call you. It means that the framework calls your application and not your application calls libraries. Of course, your application must be constrained by what the framework does, the technology constraints. If you are creating a web store, there's a framework specific for that. But if you are creating a game, there is specific framework and constraints for that kind of game you're building. For each type of application you want to build, there must be a general framework for that. If you are not a software developer and this example is not very suitable to you, let me explain it to you using a business as another perspective. Imagine I'm developing a store using a traditional development. My business is going to be a store at the street and I have to attract audience, making a parking lot for people to park their cars, I have to be worried about safety, bathrooms, infrastructure, everything, and of course sell my products. This is the traditional development. I have to worry about all of those aspects. If I want to develop a business based on frameworks, it would be like to create a store in a mall. In a mall, all those tasks like attract audience, parking, safety, bathrooms, infrastructure, they are provided by the mall infrastructure. What the mall doesn't do is to sell my products, because that's my specialty. That's where I aggregate value. So I can create my store inside of a mall and focus on what is the differential of my business. And all those common parts are reusable and they are default, they are generic. My products and the way I sell my products are my specific part of the business. Of course, I have to respect the rules or the constraints of the mall, the time for opening and close, how much people can enter my store at a specific time, actually the use of masks and safety instructions, everything is constrained by the framework. But I may focus my work or my efforts in my specialty. Well, now that you understood the definition of a framework and the concept of a framework, let's compare it with methodology. That is another concept. A methodology may be seen as a body of methods, rules, and postulates employed by a discipline, a particular procedure, or a set of procedures. A methodology employs those methods and rules to find a result or an objective. There are different methodologies for different objectives. Like there's a scientific research methodology, teaching methodology, software development methodology, demand management methodology. For each objective, there's a different methodology. And for each institution or for each organization, they have their own methodology. It's very specific. Usually, a methodology is composed by a set of processes, a set of products that are created during those processes. Those products may be deliverables or intermediate deliverables that are produced during the process. A methodology also defines roles and responsibilities for people who are going to create those products or validate, verify those products. And a methodology usually also defines tools and techniques that those roles are going to use to create or validate those products during those processes. A good methodology should answer all those questions. Should define process, products, roles, responsibilities, tools, and techniques for people who works on an organization, know what they have to do to find the objective they are looking for. A methodology is something specific for any company. That means that you should create your methodology, or your company should create its own methodology to find its objectives. But how to create a methodology? You can create a methodology based on a framework. A framework for methodologies is an incomplete implementation of a methodology, something generic. It defines a set of tasks, but there are some missing pieces, or they are defined in some macro view. It also defines the products that must be built, but it has some space for you to detail how those products are going to be. It defines roles, but in a lot of times those roles are very macro and you can specialize those roles. And it defines also some techniques, but not all of them, and some of them are very wide. Let's take, for example, the Scrum framework. It defines a set of events like the planning, the review, the retrospective, the daily, but there's space inside of those events for you to create your own events, or for you to arrange how those events should happen. It defines outputs or products like backlog items, selected backlog items for a sprint, but those are very widely defined. You can define what techniques you should use to create your backlog items, like user stories, job stories, use case, prototypes. The tools and techniques you are going to use is defined by your organization. And it also defines roles and responsibilities, but some of those roles, like the developers, are very wide defined. In your organization, you may specialize those developers into coders, database designers, UX designers, analysts, whatever is suitable for your organization and for your objectives. I myself could create a methodology for video developments on YouTube and use Scrum as a framework. And the details of techniques, tools, and roles would probably be different, but maintaining the framework and specializing what's specific for my part or for my business. Well, I hope at this point the concept of framework may be more clear to you. Find more content at the Brazilian BA website or in my channel on YouTube. It's a pleasure to be with you. Do not reinvent the wheel. Reuse good ideas with frameworks.